So if you're tuned in, it's probably because learning English is on your mind. Maybe you've started, maybe you're thinking about it. It's a huge goal for so many people, isn't it? For work, travel, just connecting more. But let's be honest, while the idea is great, figuring out how to actually do it effectively, well, that can feel a bit daunting sometimes. Yeah.
Yeah, where do you even begin? Exactly. So today we're going to really get into this. We're doing a deep dive into English for beginners, building foundational skills. We've been looking at some excerpts from a resource with that title, which really pushes for a methodical way of learning. We also checked out the Learn and Success YouTube channel, specifically their episode 70, which seems to echo these same ideas practically.
Right. So our mission today isn't just to say basics are important. We all kind of know that. It's more about digging into why. Why is this step-by-step basics first thing so powerful? What are these core foundations, really? And maybe what are the unexpected upsides for you, the learner? Okay, let's unpack that. So that phrase from the source, build a strong foundation with basics.
When we talk about foundational skills for a beginner in English, what are we really digging into? Is it just, learning words?
No, it's definitely more than just words. And it's interesting how often learners, even quite advanced ones sometimes, trip up because the foundations aren't quite solid. Think of it like building anything, really. A house needs a solid base.
Right.
For English, that base isn't just vocabulary, the bricks, it's understanding how to put them together, the grammar, the structure. So we're talking about really getting a handle on basic sentence structure, subject, verb, object, She reads books. It seems simple, but it's fundamental.
Okay.
Then core verb tenses, like the simple present I walk versus present continuous I am walking, getting that difference clear early on. And articles, a and the. They seem tiny, but misuse them and it immediately sounds off. They cause so many persistent problems if you don't nail them down.
Yeah, I can imagine. Articles are tricky.
They are, and basic prepositions too. In, on, at, when to use which. These aren't just random rules, they're the framework. Without that solid framework, you can know lots of words, but your communication might still be, a bit shaky. Maybe even misunderstood.
That's a really important distinction. It's the how, not just the what. So for you listening, understanding these specific basics, the structure, the core grammar, it's really about setting yourself up for the long haul.
Right.
Building something sturdy.
Exactly. Not just a temporary shelter.
And this leads nicely into the other big idea from our sources. The step-by-step approach. It sounds obvious, maybe. But why is taking things incrementally so crucial here? What's the deeper significance?
Oh, it's huge. It's not just about making it seem easier. It directly ties into how we learn effectively. It's about managing cognitive load.
Cognitive load.
Yeah, basically how much information your brain can handle at once. Learning a language is massive, right? If you try to absorb everything simultaneously, you just get overwhelmed.
Totally. Information overload.
Precisely. A step-by-step method breaks it down. It uses principles like chunking learning-related bits together and scaffolding. Scaffolding is where each new thing you learn rests firmly on what you already mastered. So you build upwards, logically.
Okay, like layers.
Exactly like layers. You wouldn't, for example, try to learn complex passive sentences before you're comfortable with simple active ones, right?
Makes sense.
Each step builds on the last. It ensures your brain can actually process and, importantly, retain the new information. And this builds real confidence. You feel like you're actually achieving something at each stage.
Small wins.
Small wins that add up significantly. It creates this positive feedback loop instead of constant frustration. It's a much more sustainable way to learn.
So practical examples might be maybe mastering some basic sounds first. Phonics.
Absolutely. Start with pronunciation fundamentals, then maybe simple greetings. Hello, how are you?
in constructing really simple sentences.
Right. Using that subject-verb-object structure we mentioned, I like coffee. Then you gradually add more, maybe adjectives, different verbs, basic question forms.
And then later, more complex grammar or vocabulary.
Exactly. It ensures you really own each level before you move up. It avoids building on shaky ground, and that helps avoid those persistent errors later.
Okay, let's talk about that. Because some people might think, ugh, basics are boring. I just want to talk. Can't I just watch movies or jump into conversations? It's tempting, right?
Very tempting and understandable.
But why is sticking with these fundamentals, even when it feels slow, so non-negotiable, according to these resources? What's the real danger of skipping ahead?
The biggest danger is something linguists call fossilization. Fossilized errors.
Fossilized errors. Sounds ominous.
It kind of is for a learner. These are mistakes, often in basic grammar or pronunciation, that someone makes early on and never corrects. They practice the mistake so often it becomes automatic, ingrained.
Like a bad habit you can't break.
Exactly like that. And they become incredibly difficult to fix later, even when the learner knows the correct rule intellectually. Their mouth just keeps making the mistake.
Can you give an example?
Sure. Things like consistently dropping the miss for third-person singular verbs, saying he walk instead of he walks, or always messing up articles, I go to shop instead of I go to the shop or shop.
Okay.
Or even pronunciation, constantly mixing up sounds like the she and ship and the she and chip, or maybe vowel sounds like live and leave. These might seem small.
Boom, they add up.
They really add up. They affect clarity, they can cause misunderstandings, and frankly, they can undermine a speaker's confidence. By nailing the basics first, you prevent these errors from taking root. It actually makes you faster in the long run because you're not constantly fighting these ingrained problems. Your communication is clearer, more accurate. It makes the whole process less stressful and ultimately more enjoyable.
That's such a crucial point about enjoyment and stress. For you listening, getting these basics solid really does translate to more confidence. You're not constantly second-guessing every little thing. It reduces that anxiety, that fear of making mistakes, which can be paralyzing. It lets you actually engage more naturally.
Absolutely. Confidence is key.
Now, the source mentioned the Learn and Success YouTube channel, specifically episode 70, as being aligned with this approach. What's the value of a specific structured resource like that compared to just, say, randomly searching Learn English online? Because the internet is, well, vast.
Vast and often chaotic. That's exactly the value. A well-structured resource, like that channel seems to be, offers a curated path. It's not just information, it's information presented in a logical, pedagogical sequence.
Pedagogical sequence, meaning?
It's designed for learning. They likely introduce concepts in an order that makes sense. For instance, you learn basic sentence structure before they throw complex clauses at you. You learn simple present before present perfect continuous.
Right, it respects the scaffolding idea.
Precisely. It avoids that common problem of hitting a super advanced grammar point online when you haven't even grasped the basics yet. That can be incredibly demotivating for a beginner.
Yeah, you just feel lost.
Exactly. Plus, these kinds of dedicated resources often use consistent explanations, maybe recurring characters or visual aids, clear examples. All these things help with understanding and, importantly, memory.
So it's like having a guide.
It is. It's like having a teacher or a curriculum guiding you, taking the guesswork out of, okay, what should I learn next? That structure is incredibly valuable, especially when you're starting out and everything feels huge.
Okay, so bringing this all together, what's the core message for someone listening right now who's either starting English or maybe feeling a bit stuck?
I think the core message is really about embracing the process and trusting that method matters more than speed, especially at the start. Patience pays off. And don't be afraid to go back. Revisiting the basics isn't going backward, it's strengthening your foundation. If you feel shaky on articles or basic tenses, spending time on them now is a smart investment.
It's not a sign of failure to revisit things.
Not at all. It's a sign of smart learning. It builds that robust structure we talked about. Celebrate nailing a tricky sound or constructing a simple sentence perfectly correctly. Those are the real building blocks. It's about building something solid and reliable, not just something that looks okay from a distance, but crumbles under pressure.
Well put. So today we've really dug into why building that strong foundation with the right basics, the grammar structures, chord vocabulary, pronunciation is absolutely essential for learning English effectively. And why following a clear step-by-step approach, like the one championed in resources such as English for Beginners, building foundational skills, and demonstrated in things like episode 70 of Learn and Success, is key. It's about preventing those fossilized errors and building confidence for long-term success. Not just learning words, but building a real linguistic framework.
Exactly. And thinking about this, it makes me wonder, here's something maybe for you to consider. Step away from language for a second. Think about any other complex skill you're trying to learn or improve in your life. Maybe it's coding, maybe playing an instrument, maybe even cooking a complex cuisine. What's the basic foundational skill in that area that you might benefit from revisiting or really mastering right now? Could focusing on that fundamental unlock new levels for you there, just like mastering basic grammar does for English? How could that idea of methodical step-by-step building apply elsewhere? Just something to mull over.
That's a great thought to end on, applying this foundation-first principle more broadly. We really hope this deep dive has given you some valuable insights, maybe a clearer perspective, and perhaps some renewed motivation for your own learning journey, whatever that may be.